Hey, me, tell me something. Damn, me, it looks like it's just going to be us and no Owen. Dahm, that's true. Ooh, welcome, everybody, back to another episode of Dahm. That's true. Of course, I'm your host of the most true of the Steam Machine, Steen. As always, I'm joined by nobody. I'm joined by my own thoughts, my own mind prison. I'm in, as today is the Truman 100 Hot Take Special. Again, Owen did his 100 hot takes. What was that 3 episodes ago? We did Owen's 100 hot takes, then responses, and then we did just a normal episode. So today is my 100 hot takes. It's my opportunity to give Owen the day off. I had a bunch of complications of stuff I had to do yesterday, so I was like, listen, I'm going to record my solo episode whenever I can, and that way I can do it on my own time frame and not have to worry about having Owen over. So we're doing it. It's especially a hot take special because our AC is out at my house still, so that's good. So luckily I'm in the cool basement, and it was only 75 when I walked in. It got all the way up to 80 over the weekend, so that was no fun. Landlord still waiting to come fix it, so got that going for me, which is great, which always sucks. Like, as someone who's in the HVAC industry, when the HVAC isn't working, it's frustrating. So that's great. I got that going for me. But today, we're going to do the 100 hot takes. Before we get too deep into it, I do want to thank the patrons over at patreon.com/opendisaster. Shout out Aaron, Skylar, Dylan, Ozzy, and Mailbox Kansas City, now open in the Iron District. Also, like, comment, subscribe. Comment what you keep your house at. Comment the thermostat temperature that you keep. I always find it interesting to see what everybody says. I know, like, we have a couple friends that are, like, keep it at, like, 77 or like 80, and I'm like, that's insane that you're training your body to do that. I know my dad said he was keeping it at like 77 at his place. I was like, this is crazy. I was like, can you crank down the AC? I was there for Father's Day. I was like, can you crank down the AC a couple degrees? He was like, yeah, it's fine. We keep ours at 69, by the way, so nice. But all right, let's get into the hot takes. I'm going to hot take number 1. This actually doesn't count. I'm going to do this faster than Owen did it. So there you go. That's a hot take. That's a free one for you. That one's 101 hot takes. Suck it, Owen. All right, here we go. We're going to start here with the AFC East. I'm going to go AFC East, AFC North, AFC South, NFC East, NFC North, NFC South, NFC West. Then we're going to do the AFC West. And then I'm going to do 20 hot takes for the Chiefs, 5 hot takes for the Royals, 8 general sports hot takes, and 8 general takes about life. We're doing 2 per team, but there are 2 bonus ones where I had 3 takes per on 2 different teams. So that's my bonus ones there. So without further ado, let's start with the AFC East. Let's start with the Buffalo Bills, everybody's favorite team. My first hot take is going to be Josh Allen rushes for under 500 yards. I think he does not have a sustainable. Listen, he is the biggest person since Cam Newton to ever play the game. Maybe one of the more dynamic, like, builds and athletic profiles since Cam Newton. But I just don't think his body will hold up if he keeps running it like he does as often as he does. So I'm going Josh Allen rushes for under 500 yards this season. Hot take number 2 for the Bills is that Joey Bosa is the next Von Miller situation. Like, they signed Von Miller, and Von Miller, you know, I guess it won't be as bad as Von Miller getting arrested for, or had a warrant out for his arrest for domestic violence and all that stuff. It won't be that, but Joey Bosa is going to be injured a lot, not going to live up to the hype, not going to live up to the contract. I don't know why they keep paying aging pass rushers. So that's my next take on Joey Bosa. Let's move on to the Dolphins. First take for the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill misses 4+ games. I think he's going to be hurt. He's getting older. He's just getting banged up more. I think he might also just not have the drive to be on the Dolphins still. So I don't think he's pushing himself through injury a ton. So that's where that comes from. Also, Mike McDaniel is fired at the end of the year. I just think the Dolphins are a team that has done fine for a long time. And I think they are due to fall apart and have the bottom fall out eventually. And like I think like a 6-11 season or maybe like a 7-10 season might help him keep his job. But like if Tua, has another concussion and misses 10+ games, and Tyreek Hill is missing 5+ games, 8+ games, I think this team maybe wins 5 games and they go, listen, you weren't getting it done even when you're going to the playoffs. I think we've got to call it. So that's my guess on the Dolphins. Jets are the next one. I have Fields looks like the answer. I think Justin Fields is going to establish himself. He's going to have a Geno Smith, Sam Darnold like resurgence where you go, you know what? Pretty good. Solid starter. He's puts his team in a spot to win. That's my take on the Justin Fields in New York situation. So, and the second take for the Jets is that they will make a wildcard spot. They'll be one of the 3 AFC wildcard teams. On to the Pats. I say that they will lose the wild card spot to the Jets on tiebreakers. So they'll go 9-8, 10-7, whatever the Jets go. And they will lose the wild card spot on tiebreakers to the Jets. So I think those teams will be about even. I think the bottom falls out for the Dolphins. I think the Jets and the Pats go forward. And I think the Bills kind of fall back a little bit, but still probably win that division. And I also have for the Pats, so lose the wild card spot to the Jets, and they have Drake May over 4,000 yards. People move him ahead of Caleb Williams for that draft class. That's my guess. All right, AFC North is next. So we're going to start with the Bengals. So every division I'm doing it alphabetical just so you can keep up. So you're like, wait, he did the Bengals. Where's the Browns? Browns are next. Don't worry about it. I'm going to start here with the Bengals. I believe they're going to lose 10 games this season. I just think the defense is not going to be great. I also think I think Joe Burrow had an incredible season last year. I think Jamar Chase had an incredible season last year. T. Higgins has been paid, but like they're paying only those 3 guys. And if Jamar Chase regresses a little bit or T. Higgins gets banged up again and Joe Burrow gets banged up again, that this team is not, it is held together by pins and needles, and a bad defense is getting worse. So I have them losing 10 games, and which leads to my second hot take is that Zach Taylor is finally fired. I believe he will be fired at the end of this season after the Bengals miss the playoffs. If the Bengals make the playoffs, Zach Taylor probably still gets to keep going. Then they lose in the second round, and then Zach Taylor is slowly becoming the new Marvin Lewis situation for the Bengals. And I assume it's because the owners are cheap and they have to pay out a buyout and all that stuff. But there you go. Moving on to the Browns. I have Shadur Sanders starts more than half of their games. I think Shadur is the best quarterback in that room, probably. And I think that will rise to the top. I think it's also what it's looked like at camp. Like I know they post the numbers like every day. You see the Browns quarterback camp numbers, which is super toxic and just worthless. It's like watching training camp or like spring game numbers for the MLB where you're like, what? That our ace gave up 10 runs? And it's like, yeah, they kept him in there and all he threw was fastballs because he wanted to work on his fastball and what it looks like when he misses. And it's like, you just don't know what somebody's working on that day. So I wouldn't worry about it. But my guess is Shadur will end up starting more than half the games for the Browns. And that also Kenny Pickett will be the starter week 1. Book that for the Browns. Moving on to the Ravens. I have DeAndre Hopkins under 500 yards. It is something about a Ravens jersey that just makes every player look washed, especially wide receivers. DeAndre Hopkins is no exception. I actually believe DeAndre Hopkins is washed. I think there's a reason he didn't work out in Kansas City, and I think it's because he's washed. So under 500 yards for him. I also have that the Ravens win the division. Somebody has to win this division, and you'll see with the Steelers, it's not them. It's not going to be the Browns, and I have the Bengals losing 10 games. So the Ravens, congrats. You're probably 11-6 again. You probably win the division, but I don't expect a ton from the Ravens either. That is a team that also just doesn't surround their quarterback with talent ever, it feels like. That's a weird team where it doesn't feel like they deliberately miss on a lot, but they also never hit or make big signings. It's very odd where they keep signing old players, and like we talk about, every player looks washed. It's because Ravens only sign old, washed-up wide receivers. It's odd. Let's move on to the Steelers. I have Steelers go 9-8. There you go. over 500, of course. I also have that Will Howard will start 2 games. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will get banged up. There's always drama because it's Pittsburgh, and he'll sit out or he'll be hurt. He'll twist an ankle, whatever. He's 41 playing the game of football, or 42, however the fuck old he is. So give me Will Howard starting 2 games. I think he'll beat out Skylar Thompson I think Skylar Thompson's just your third QB there. So moving on to the AFC South. We're going to start here with the Colts. I have Anthony Richardson cut after the season starts less than half the games. This is make or break for Anthony Richardson, and I think he is going to not make it. And my second take for the Colts is that Daniel Jones is the starter for 2026. I think he will cement that he is good enough to be like a Sam Darnold-esque. I think the Colts draft a quarterback next year. He is there to mentor them. They'll draft a real quarterback in the first round. They'll do all that. Daniel Jones will start for 2026. He might not be the starter by the end of 2026, but that's my guess. For the Jaguars, I have the Jaguars win the division at 11-6. I also have that Trevor Lawrence will answer some questions and will look like a top 10 quarterback, which might be in direct issue with my take about the Jags from Owens, but that's what you get. Next, I'm going on to the Texans. I have C.J. Stroud bounces back to his rookie year numbers. So not like elite numbers, but again, where you go, okay, C.J. Stroud has to be a top 10 quarterback. He is a top 10 quarterback. He is the starter for the Texans. The Texans need to build around him. They need to invest this offseason. That's what I believe is going to happen with C.J. Stroud. I also believe the Texans are going to be a wild card team at 10-7. Here's a little bonus take, 101.5. I think the Texans could be the team that goes to the other team that goes to the AFC Championship game. We're going to talk about another team that goes to the AFC Championship game. I think the Texans might be the other team that goes to the AFC Championship game. It will be the reverse of how I felt about them their first year, where I was like, they went, but also they didn't really do a ton in the playoffs. I think this year they squeak into the playoffs, but they beat, maybe they're the 5 or the 6 seed and they beat the 3 or the 4 seed, where it's like a bad division winner. Maybe they beat the Ravens and everybody goes, oh, okay. And then they beat, they pull off a surprise. Maybe the Bills get shocked as the 2 seed or whatever. And then they're like, well, all right, hold on, wait a minute. And then they lose in the AFC Championship game. For the last team in the South, I have the Titans. I have Cam Ward wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Not that hot of a take to take the number 1 overall pick, who's a quarterback to win Rookie of the Year, but there you go. I also have L'Jarius Sneed cut before the season starts. I think they are going frustrated with L'Jarius Sneed and how I think he'll get banged up in camp and just they will start to question whether or not he has that much commitment to the Titans, and then you'll see him get cut before camp starts, or before the season starts for the Titans. That's my guess. Could he be a Chief? My guess is no. It's one of those weird things where you always feel like, oh, he'll probably go back and be a Chief, and then he ends up somewhere weird like the Dolphins because they trade Jalen Ramsey finally, and it's like, oh, okay, that's weird. All right, moving on to the NFC. Starting with the NFC East, we're going to start with the Commanders. I have Jaden Daniels has a sophomore slump. I think he'll take a step back. I think he had a great year. I also think that he will, he's got, by all rumors and stories you hear about him, he's got a great mentality and a great, he studies the game a lot and does a lot of work in the offseason. But wait, I just realized something. I might not have. Oh, shit. Oh, wait. Hold on. All right, we're going to have to count how many takes. I might have counted my takes. Hold on. Wait. Okay, let me check something. This is something stupid. But, sorry. So there's 32 teams in the NFL. I have 28 teams that are outside the AFC West. I have two takes for each of them. That's 56. Added up to 58. We add on 9 to get to 67 for the AFC West, because there's 3 for each team. And again, it's 56, but it's 59 or 58 because I have two extra takes in there. So it would be 56, but it's 58 plus 9 gets us 67. I've 20 takes about the Chiefs, which puts us at 87. I have 5 Royals takes, which puts us at 92. And then I did 18 other takes. So I counted the AFC West takes wrong. You're going to get bonus takes. Oh, so I got that going for me. So sorry. 100 plus takes from Truman. But Jaden Daniels has a sophomore slump. I also said that the Commanders will still win a soft division. So, sorry. My brain is fried thinking about the fact that I counted that wrong, but it's fine. So, up next, I have the Cowboys. I have Dak can't stay healthy again. And, listen, we're all going to start to doubt what's going to happen with Dak. And we're just going to be like, he's going to be the Hall. I don't know if you guys have been following on Twitter, but there's somebody who's got a Twitter account called the Hall of Very Good. That might be where Dak ends up. Dak might not even be the Hall of Very Good. He might be in the Hall of Okay. Like Alex Smith is in the Hall of Good, I would say. And like Dak, I view Dak Prescott all time. I view Dak Prescott the very same way I view Alex Smith. If that makes sense. Second take for the Cowboys, I have George Pickens under 700 yards for the season. That kind of leads itself into the Dak Prescott thing, but also just the George Pickens. Oh, I know Owen had like George Pickens missing 4+ games. I love that take. And I think that lends itself into here where there's character stuff or he just gets mad or he gets hurt. So George Pickens under 700 yards just feels like it. Going on to the Eagles, I've missed the playoffs on a Super Bowl hangover. They lost a lot of talent. And it also comes from the second take, which is that Jalen Hurts is injured on a tush push. I think we are reaching a point with this tush push where teams have seen it enough now that, especially after it didn't get banned, that they're going to do a lot of things that unfortunately will lead itself to making people want to ban the tush push because now people are getting hurt or they're doing things to the Eagles. They're making the Eagles want to stop running it. It's one of those things where it's like, well, you got to stop it somehow. And then teams are going to be really shitty about how they stop it and end up stopping it by hurting him. So I got that. For the last team in the NFC East, I have the Giants. I have Jackson Dart. Doesn't start more than one game. Looks like a bust. I think he maybe gets in there like week 7 and looks fucking dog shit. And you're like, oh my God, why did we pick him? He also sounded dumb in the Gruden QB camp where you're like, I think he like didn't have a snap count in college. He just had claps. And it's like, okay, you have a lot to learn, I think. He was also a reach from the Giants got him. And they also have 2 very solid backup quarterbacks where you just might not see Jackson Dart, honestly. Because you might have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, and that might be enough for what the Giants are trying to do this year. So it's kind of a twofold take but I think Jackson Dart is not going to be good. But, who knows? Who am I to say? Then I have Cam Scatterbo goes for 800 yards rushing. Yeah, I think it'll be good. I think have a really solid rookie year, and he'll be fine. And I think the Giants will want to lean on him because they have, veteran quarterbacks who are fine. Moving on to the NFC North, we'll start here with the Bears. You guys know where this goes. Caleb Williams, 4,000 yards passing. Easy. Done. He's got a better offensive coach. I think he finally breaks that Bears curse. I don't think that means the Bears are going to be incredible, but I think that's a minimum thing for them to do to break the curse. I think they've built an all right offensive line. I also think they've gotten him some wide receiver help and whatnot. So where I'm going with that. All right, sorry, real quick. I'm running the numbers on how many takes I've done, or how many takes are going to be on this show, because I'm a dummy. 58. Sorry, plus I can't let it sit without knowing the answer before we get there. +5, +16. I have 108 takes for you. So that's my bad. I counted them wrong, which is stupid. Because I went 32 times 2 plus 6 I was doing all sorts of bad math. It was all sorts of bad stuff. So don't worry about it. But now we got it. 108 takes from Truman. Bears, Caleb Williams 4,000 yards. Then the Bears go 9-8 and miss the playoffs. Very Bears of them to do. Next up, the Lions. I have the Lions stay healthier this year, and they win the division. I think they won the division last year, and I think they would have done much better if they would have stayed healthy. I also have Aiden Hutchinson wins comeback player of the year. I think that just goes hand in hand with the Lions staying healthier. It'll be a large part because Aiden Hutchinson stays healthy the whole season. Looks good. I don't know if he wins defensive player of the year, but I think he wins comeback player of the year pretty easily. Which all that leads itself into be that I have the Lions being my pick to go to the Super Bowl from the NFC. That's one bonus pick. I told you I had 2 teams that have bonus picks, and those are bonus takes, and that's my bonus take for the Lions, that they are my NFC Super Bowl pick. Packers, I have Marquise. Is it Marcus? Golden. Sorry. I'm never good about first names, but it's fine because it's the NFL. It's only about the names on the back, right? Golden is wide receiver 1 for the Packers. I also have Love gets them to a wild card spot at 11-6. I like Jordan Love. I don't love Jordan Love, but I like him, and I think he can get them to 11-6. The Vikings are the last team in the NFC North that you're still looking for a pick. I have J.J. McCarthy looks like a real starter in this league. I think he looks like, like Bo Nix times 1.25, where he looks like just a little bit better than Bo Nix looked last year, where you're like, he looks like maybe he looks like Alex Smith, where you're like, you know what? That's a quarterback, that's a real quarterback. That's what I have for J.J. McCarthy this year. Wild card. I also have the Vikings getting the second wild card, or a wild card spot in the NFC at 10-7. I guess my second wild card spot I've given out. Maybe can't remember if I gave out one. No, nobody gets in the. Oh yeah. Because I gave wild card spot to the Packers, wild card spot to the Vikings. So 3 teams from the NFC North making the playoffs. There you go. It's because this next division is really bad. The NFC South. Bucks is where we'll start. I have Baker has the best contract in the league and will continue to provide value on it this year. Baker Mayfield was signed for, I believe it was like $30 million, $40 million. I think he got signed for less than Daniel Jones. Everybody went, what? And Baker has been a great deal, and he's been great for the Bucks. So I think he continues to deliver value on that contract. And I also, for the second pick for the Bucks, I have that they will win a weak division. I believe this division will continue to be weak. I think the Bucks will do it. Which moves us on to the Falcons. I have Penix has some growing pains, but throws for over 3,000 yards. I think he'll be fine. But in the same way that I think we'll go, J.J. McCarthy, that's a real Alex Smith level quarterback. I think there's a chance you look at Penix and you go, I gotta see one more year before I know that he's the answer in Atlanta. I also, for the second pick, or for the second one for the Falcons, I had that neither of the Falcons' first round defensive picks are great. I have Jalen Walker is, bad to find. It's a middle. I think he's going to play middle linebacker, or maybe outside. It's a hard position to learn that I think takes a lot of smarts and adjusting to the game. Like Nick Bolton wasn't incredible his rookie year. He was good, but he wasn't incredible. And I think there's a chance that Jalen Walker doesn't hit. And then James Pierce Jr., defensive end from Tennessee. A weird reach up to get him when they traded back in. And when there's better picks left on the board, the kid from Alabama. So when they came back to get James Pierce Jr., like, okay, that was odd. And again, because of the way that, in the same way that we don't know what's going on with Omar Norman Lott, we don't totally know what's happening with him, that we also don't know what James Pierce Jr. is going to be from Tennessee. So I feel the same. Panthers, I have Bryce Young unfortunately fails and is cut at the end of the year. I know a lot of people want him to take that next step or think that he took that next step at the beginning of last year. I have it that maybe that was just a false alarm. He fails. Probably probably the head coach gets fired also. Number 2, I have Tet McMillan goes for 1,000 yards still. Like Malik Neighbors last year for the Giants. Like he still had a good year, and you're like, man, he had dog shit quarterbacks. How did Malik Neighbors have a good year? That's what I think Ted McMillan is going to do for the Panthers this year, where you're like, dude, he has terrible people throwing to him, but goddamn, at least he gets 150 yards every game or whatever. And then this is my last bonus take before we get to the AFC West, where I have 3 takes per team. But the third take for the Panthers is that Turk Wharton will disappoint on his 3-year, $45 million contract. I think Turk Wharton worked really well inside the Chiefs scheme. I have concerns for him outside of the Chiefs scheme. That's all I have. And for the Saints, the last team in the NFC South, Tyler Shuck proves to be a worse quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. Where everybody goes, okay, you proved the point that you didn't want Shedeur to, own his draft process and all this stuff. But I think everybody looks at him and go, you fucking just should have taken him, you idiots. And my second pick for the Saints is that Alvin Kamara will be traded at the deadline. And, of course, Alvin Kamara did sign a 2-year, $26 million extension or $24 million extension this year that was basically guaranteed. So that will make it, I guess, kind of harder to move him. But it will bring down that price enough that I think he'll get moved for like a second-round pick or like a first-round pick at the deadline whenever the Saints are like dog shit ass, And they're hoping to draft another quarterback next year. So somebody says, here's my first-round pick because you're going to want to draft a quarterback next year. And they go, thank you. So moving on, next is the NFC West. We'll start here with the 49ers. I have Christian McCaffrey goes for 2,000 all-purpose yards. Just stays healthy. Christian McCaffrey does, his ups and downs where he gets hurt, then he's good, then he gets hurt, then he's good. I had that he's good this year. But unfortunately, my second pick is that nothing else goes on with the offense and the 49ers miss the playoffs. I don't know if they should have signed Bryce. Oh, my God. Forget it. The fucking janitor. I've forgotten his name because he's so bad, or because I don't believe in him that much. Oh, and I'm not anywhere near my phone. All right. Hold on. I've got to look this up. And Owen's gonna give me such a hard time that I can't even remember. Brock Purdy. Oh my God, I got there before we got there. Wow, it's because I said Bryce, and that threw me all the way off. Because I don't think they should have paid Brock Purdy, and I think that not enough goes on with the offense because of that, and that they missed the playoffs, even though Christian McCaffrey will go for 2,000 all-purpose yards. Next up is the Cardinals. I have Kyler Murray, looks like a top 10 quarterback. And then I think they will get the third wildcard spot in the NFC. So I think they'll be good enough and sneak in. I don't know if they'll cause much ruckus, but I think they'll be fine. The Rams, I have Stafford finally falls off a cliff and retires after this year. I think Stafford has been okay and slightly getting worse. I think maybe he just finally falls off. They lost Aaron Donald. I know they made him up pretty well, but I think they just lose him. I think he falls off, and I think it hurts the Rams. Stafford falls apart, and he retires. And then I also think that Sean McVay will retire with Stafford at the end of this year. He'll move into the booth. He'll probably do like 5 years in the booth, and then he'll end up coaching an NFL team whenever Andy Reid retires. And the last team in the NFC West, I have the Seahawks. I have that Darnold wins them the division, which is oddly weak. I think Sam Darnold will prove that he did take that step, and that what we saw at the end of the year was just, fatigue and bad coaching and not teams figuring him out. And then hopefully, and this leads into my next one, as long as I get the Vikings pick correct that they're earning the wild card spot, I have the Seahawks beat the Vikings in round 1 of the playoffs. There you go. Maybe they're the 3 seed, and the Vikings are like the 6 seed, and they play the Vikings and beat them. And the Cardinals are like the 7 seed, and they play the 2 seed and they lose, and then the Bucks are the 4 seed who loses to the 5 seed. Something like that. So, which oh, hold on, I gotta make a quick adjustment to the spreadsheet. Or to the PowerPoint. I thought I goofed. I goofed here just a bit. So I need to add in the AFC West. as they will be the next division. We'll do the 3 teams from the AFC West that aren't the Chiefs. And then, of course, right after that, we will do the Chiefs and the Royals. So I got to duplicate. Oh, there it is. All right. Sorry about that. It's just a little bit of housekeeping stuff. And see, normally if Owen was here, I could have Owen talk while I got this corrected, but he's not here. So I have to do this. And you have to listen to my soft, sultry voice while this happens. So, also, by the way, there will not be a top 5 because obviously, it's just me today. So you got 108 takes. You can do a little homework at home. Everybody pick their favorite top 5. Everybody pick their favorite 5 picks, and that can be your personal top 5 that you can have at home. So take 5 minutes after the show's over and do that, and then that'll be your top 5. So there you go. Then you can feel like you had a top 5 with the show. All right, moving on to the AFC West. We'll start with the Broncos. They win less games than last year. I have Bo Nix is worse this year, so I have regression from the entire team, and especially Bo Nix. I also have that it will feel like a failure, because that will feel like a failure, because it feels like the Broncos, I feel like a lot of people are thinking they're going to take a next step. I know a lot of people have already done the thing where they're doing the Chargers will win the AFC West and all this stuff, but I think a lot of other people have also been taking the Broncos take a next step, and I don't think they will. I think people will kind of figure out Bo Nix. He regresses. He has a sophomore slump. The defense isn't as good as billed as hoped, and then, it just looks like a failure. I don't think anybody's on the hot seat. I don't think they make any big changes, but I think that's what it looks like. I think they win 7 games, and everybody goes, damn, I really thought they were going to win 10 or 11. Moving on to the other, offseason champion, I have the Chargers. I have them as a wild card team. I think they'll be solid. I think they know their identity, and that's because their identity is that Omari and Hampton will rush for 1,000 yards or over 1,000 yards. Listen, Jim Harbaugh is with the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh will feed Omari and Hampton the ball, and he will rush it a bunch. He'll go for 1,000 yards, and he will look like everybody go, okay, you know what? Worth it for a first-round pick. I also have that Justin Herbert will throw for 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns, and everybody goes, okay. Maybe he starts to knock on that top 5 conversation, actually, finally. We'll see. The Raiders, I have better than last year. Obviously, nowhere to go but up. I also have that Geno throws for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns. Again, solid stat line. Not really in the MVP conversation. But people go, you know what, Geno, you're number 10 quarterback. And then he'll fall apart the year after that. And then I also have that the Raiders will miss the playoffs, but will beat the Chiefs once. Very interesting. Very interesting for the Raiders. All right, which brings me on to the Chiefs. We have 20 takes about the Chiefs. That was, let's see, so it's 56 plus 2, 58 plus 9. That was 67 takes about all the other NFL teams. So there you go. Now we're moving on to the Chiefs. The Chiefs will start with the fact that Justin Simmons will start week 1. Yeah. I think Justin Simmons is going to be healthy. I think he's looking good. And I think he starts week 1. Number 2, I have Jalen Moore will be a starter on this offensive line by the end of the season. I do not know if he will be starting left tackle because we have to move Josh Simmons to left guard, or Kingsley's not as good, or if he beats out Juwan Taylor at right tackle. But I have the feeling, listen, people get banged up, people get hurt. Who knows what happens? Just people get hurt, and anything could happen. And that's why I'm putting Jalen Moore as just a starter on this offensive line somewhere. And people will go, for all the fucking idiots that go, well, why are we playing Jalen Moore 2 years, $30 million if we're not playing him anywhere? They'll finally get somewhere, and they'll learn that it's because he was a great insurance option, and he comes in and cashes in, and he'll be a starter somewhere on that offensive line by the end of the season. Number 3, that the Chiefs' offensive line is in a better position now than it was last year. This is one of those sometimes it's hot takes, sometimes it's predictions. A lot of these have been predictions. This one's just a hot take. I think that I feel a lot better about it than I did last year, where it was like, listen, did we have a better left guard situation? Sure. But left tackle is just such a question mark. And sure, it is still a question mark, but it will not be as big of a question mark as it is now. So it is still a question mark, but it feels like a much more manageable question mark. All right. On to my fourth take for the Chiefs. I have, and you can see why I was getting confused about who it was. Jalen Royals goes for under 500 yards. I know he's going to be training camp darling. He's going to be. People are like, I think they cloned Rashee Rice in a lab. That's what Jalen Royals looks like. It's because they're not wearing pads. It's because you're not seeing how he moves. And if Jalen Royals is like Rashee Rice, it'll be incredible. But I don't think he'll be. I think he'll warm up a bit. And he's also like wide receiver 4 or 5 on this team, and you have to remember that. So 500 yards for under 500 yards for Jalen Royals. My next take is that Rashee Rice will not be suspended. This kind of came out already, but essentially his criminal case is going to take too long, so he won't probably be suspended in 2025. As like it won't probably be resolved till 2026, but it'll probably get suspended. People talk about Alvin Kamara's court case where he beat up a dude in a nightclub and like beat him up pretty dang bad, and he didn't get suspended for a couple years because it just took a while for the legal process to play out. I see that happening with Rashee Rice. So Rashee Rice not suspended this next season, which means that Rashee Rice will go for over 1,500 yards. That's my next take. I think he is going to be wide receiver 1. I think he was on pace for that. I think he will look good. He'll have enough people to take the pressure off. I think Mahomes will be more comfortable in the pocket. And for Mahomes to hit where I have him hitting, I think you need Rashee Rice to go over 1,500 yards. My next take, Omar Norman-Lott, the rookie defensive tackle from Tennessee, will have 6 sacks or more. It's not a huge number, but it's a very solid number for a rookie. I can't remember what George Karlaftis had in his rookie season. I want to say he maybe had like 6 to 8 somewhere in there. And he only ended up like 4 or 5 because he had like 5 in the last like 4 games or something. And I think that's where Omar Norman-Lott, like he might only have like 2 in his first 8 games, but in the second half of the season he'll have 4 or something like that. I think he was very productive in college as a pass rusher. I think he finds his way as, he could even just be a third down specialist for the Chiefs. That's fine. We can have him. We have the depth at defensive tackle to afford for him to be, on the other side of Chris Jones at the defensive tackle position on 3rd or 4th down and, getting those sacks. So I have him getting 6 sacks. Also, hot take, I have Chris Jones does not lead the team in sacks this year. He's aging. He's getting older. He's also he always pulls a lot of attention. I think there's a chance that, that Charles Omenihu with a full year or George Karlaftis again, takes that step, and one of those guys ends up with more sacks than Chris Jones just because Chris Jones is wrecking the game, but is not getting 15 sacks from that position. Next up is that Isaiah Pacheco does not lead the team in rushing yards. Hot take-ish, but, he didn't lead it last year, and chance he gets banged up again. I also think he's lost. I think the Chiefs might trust Kareem Hunt a little bit more now, and I think they'll have that kid from SMU in there. I think it's Brashad Williams, and I think Brashad Smith? Maybe Smith. And I think he'll be there to also steal carries. People go, well, Truman, what about Elijah Mitchell? Well, my next hot take is that Elijah Mitchell does not make it out of Chiefs camp. It's just one of those random ones where you're like, oh, we signed that guy? And then it was like, he was only okay with other teams, and then he's just okay here. We don't need him anymore. And so I think that's what happens. Maybe he even gets like traded for, a 7th round pick or something. Next take, unfortunately. FAU's option is not picked up after this year. You have to pick up the 5th-year option at the end of the 3rd year. I don't know if FAU shows enough this year to get it picked up, and it's heartbreaking. As a K-State fan, I really wanted to believe in him, but I'm not sure he gets it. He gets there for us. Next up, I have Xavier Worthy goes for 900 all-purpose yards. I think he will be a bit of a mix of like Mecole Hardman and Tyreek Hill. I think he's more dynamic than Mecole Hardman was, and a better receiver than Mecole Hardman is. But I think they'll move him into. But he'll also have like more jet sweeps than we gave Tyreek Hill. Oddly enough, we didn't give Tyreek Hill that many jet sweeps because we were out running them for so many routes and things. So I think Xavier Worthy will be somewhere in between those two. So 900 all-purpose yards for Xavier Worthy is what I have. I also have Travis Kelce goes for 1,000 yards, and I put a note here. It says Mike Evans style, where they just will feed him until he gets there. I'm not sure he's going to be better. They say he's 25 pounds lighter. I sure hope so, because he looked a little slow last year. But he might just look slow because he's old, too. He's getting older. And so he might just, but I think the Chiefs, knowing this is his last year, almost guaranteed, will force him the ball, and he'll go for over 1,000 yards. That's my guess. Which, again, Kelce going for 1,000 yards, Rashee Rice going for 1,500 yards, Worthy going for 900 all-purpose yards. You still have Hollywood Brown kicking around there. I have Patrick Mahomes goes for over 5,000 yards again. Answers all questions. Everybody asks, is Patrick Mahomes QB1? He shows them. Yes, I am QB1 again. I have a real left tackle now. I have a real wide receiver core for the first time. A real wide receiver core, a real left tackle, a real offensive line for the first time in 3 or 4 years. I am the best quarterback there has ever been. I am the MVP, which is my next pick, which is my next hot take, is that Patrick Mahomes will win MVP. Right after that, I have the Chiefs will win the division, completing the decade of dominance. The Chiefs, if they win the division this year, will have 10 straight AFC West championships. So they complete the decade of dominance. There you go. I also have the Chiefs win 13 games. They get the 1 seed. The AFC cannibalizes itself a little bit. Maybe the Bills end up at 12 or 11, and I have the Ravens at 10 or 11, and I have who's the other? AFC South. I have the Jags at 11 or 12. I think I have them at 11, I think I even said. So, yeah, I think Chiefs win 13, and maybe, it's close. They have to play their starters in week 17 or week 18 to win the number 1 seed, but they get the number 1 seed. I say they'll host the AFC Championship game again. They won't lose. They'll go to the Super Bowl, and I have them winning the Super Bowl. So those 3 hot takes. My last 3 to round out 20 hot takes for the Chiefs. I don't need to explain why I think the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl. I think we got there. And listen, this is a Chiefs show. We're going to pick them to win the Super Bowl. It's a Chiefs show. Going to be Chiefs homers outside. Like never mind. That works. Again, it works better when I have somebody bounce off of. Okay. So let's move on to our Royals section. I have 5 hot takes for the Royals. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not super high on them. I have Bubich does not finish in the top 5 for AL Cy Young voting. I think he's had a great start to the year. I think he still only just doesn't have enough pitches in his arsenal to keep fooling people for long enough. I think he's still going to have a great year. He might still have a sub-3 ERA, or he probably for sure will almost certainly have a sub-4 ERA. He will be the best starter for the Royals rotation this year. And I think he's a top 10 pitcher in the AL this year. I just don't think he's going to be top 5, and I think he'll regress to the mean a little bit, and that'll be okay. I have Jack Caglione finishes the season above a 250 batting average. I think he hits pretty well for average, and I think he's figuring it out a little bit more. I think he'll continue to do that, so I think he'll end up over 250. I think he adjusts and learns faster, and he's proven that over the years, so I feel good about that. I also, though, have that Jack will hit under 10 home runs. I think he, again, will be adjusting, trying to make sure he's a productive batter. He's not trying to hit the cover off the ball, and so I have under 10 home runs this year, but like next year, I think he hits for 30 plus. I also have Bobby Witt Jr. finishes under 300 for a batting average. I think he's under 300 right now. He might be even under 290. I think he slumps a bit, and maybe he comes back, but man, if nobody in this Royals batting order can protect him, it's tough. Maikel Garcia is the only one who can protect Bobby Witt Jr. or have somebody that scares them into pitching to Bobby Witt Jr. And I think just people will pitch around him, and Bobby will try to play hero ball and will chase some pitches. And so I have Bobby Witt Jr. just finishing under 300 as he tries to play hero's ball for a bad Royals team. I also have the Royals will miss the playoffs but finish over 500. Again, I don't have a coin to flip, but it really just comes down to a coin to flip on whether or not the Royals will finish above 500 or make the playoffs. Right now, I feel like the coin is flipping no, but also the Royals just lost 6 in a row, got swept on the homestand, and are going on the road. So, they can prove me wrong, but they're we're all pretty low on them right now. So let's move on to the general sports hot takes. Oh. Royals huge disappointment. Absolutely. They're just a just a huge disappointment. I think it sucks this year. I think also Q might get fired at the end of the season. I don't think they'll fire him mid-season, but that's what I'm thinking is going on. Sorry, I'm just responding to Twitch chat for all the audio listeners, or for all the audio viewers or visual listeners. So, moving on to our general sports takes. I'm going to start here with the Islanders. The NHL draft is coming up. I believe it's next week. I believe it's next Thursday. I have the Islanders will select Michael Misa. He's a great elite center. I think he has very high potential. He is a little bit of a up and down, like he's not necessarily a slam dunk like the defenseman is, where they're like he can slot in. They're talking about the other defenseman could be the guy that you could draft him and he would slot in to be a defenseman for the Islanders next year. I'm not sure that the Islanders need that. I think they've got a lot of defensemen that are pretty solid right now, and I think they're looking for more an elite offensive center, so they go Michael Misa next Thursday. Moving on, I have the Thunders will win the NBA Finals. Obviously, they won Game 5 last night, so this won't come as big of a shock for some people, but I feel like they're the better team. Also, Tyrese Halliburton, I think, is a little banged up, so it's leaning that way. But I've gone the other way for the NHL Finals. I have the Oilers still win the Stanley Cup Finals. They're down 3-2. They could lose tonight, and this take could already be wrong by the time you listen to this tomorrow. But this is being recorded on Tuesday. But I think the Oilers will still win the Stanley Cup Finals. I also have that the Yankees will actually win the World Series this year. I think they look very good. I think we all hate them, but Aaron Judge is hitting the cover off the ball, even in ballparks that aren't his. I think we are all annoyed by Yankees fans talking Yanks, all that stuff on Twitter. But I think the Yankees still win the World Series because I think the Dodgers maybe actually fall apart. I know they've got Shohei pitching again, which means that he's primed to fucking tear his elbow up again and miss the rest of the year stupidly. So, but that's why you paid him as much money as you paid him, is because he can pitch also. So you hope he goes in there and pitches. Maybe he just becomes like your closer. That'd be crazy. Can you imagine having a guy who hits 45 home runs, steals 40 bases, and then comes in and gets like 40 saves a year? That's what we should do with Jack Caglione also, because he can throw fucking 96, 98, whatever. I also have Owen convinces himself that the new manager for Tottenham will win them another trophy, and he won't. Tottenham doesn't win a trophy for the next 10 years. A little bonus hot take just for Owen to piss him off. That's rage bait. Hopefully he's raging at home. Right after that, I have Max Verstappen comes storming back and wins the F1 this year. He finishes in first in the F1, takes the trophy. He won yesterday on Father's Day, and there's still half the season left, and he's only down like 30 or 40 points. He can make that up. He can make that up. If anybody can do it, it's Max Verstappen. So give me him. Right after that, I have Tiger never wins another major. Not necessarily that. Max didn't win yesterday? What? I swore. Okay, sorry. I thought Max won. I thought he had the highest point total from what I saw, but maybe I misread it. Sorry. That's my bad. Russell won. George Russell won yesterday. I'm very sorry. Everybody. But, and listen, George Russell probably is going to win. Oscar is his closest competition, according to chat. I'm not an F1 head, but I think Max will make a run at it. Honestly, I still do. Listen, you're not here for the F1 takes. I'm sorry for venturing out into that, but there you go. I have Tiger Woods will never win another major. Not that hot of a take, but I just think he's just a little washed. And that's not unpopular, but I think he's probably fully cooked now. It was a great story when he won the Masters, but it sucks. Framps in chat saying he'll support F1 takes. Will you support uneducated F1 takes? That's a question we have to ask. And my last general sports take is that hockey clears baseball and basketball as the second best sport. I'm full on in the NHL. I think everybody should get into the NHL. And I think it's better than baseball and basketball And if we had a team here in Kansas City, I believe a lot more people in Kansas City would believe that as well. And let's go to just general takes about life. I believe this is going to be the hottest take. I think Slaps Barbecue has the best burn-ins in Kansas City. Man, they're always just so consistent and they're so good. And there's people that are like, oh, I've never had Slaps. I hear a lot of good things about Slaps. I never go try it. You should go try it. Also Slaps, if you go on Tuesday, they have the Taco Tuesday deal. It's Tuesday right now. I'm thinking about Slaps tacos right now. They have a fucking incredible taco deal on Tuesdays. And they let it marinate with the peppers and the beet juices. It's incredible. Go to the Slaps on Tuesday. Go get the tacos. Number 2 for general takes about life. I have Arby's clears Wendy's. Wendy's is no longer a good deal. Wendy's was an okay deal for a long time. They have become a worse and worse deal. They never come out with anything interesting. I think Arby's has a better variety of menu. I think their sides are better. Their mozzarella sticks are fucking bomb. All their curly fries clear all their fries. Potato cakes clear all their fries. I'd probably rather have a Baconator than a roast beef sandwich from Arby's. But I'd probably rather have like a gyro. The Baconator might be a better sandwich than anything that Arby's offers. But I think Arby's 2, 3, 4, 5 is better than probably Wendy's, like the rest of it. Framps has an even hotter take in the chat. It says Arby's has spirited 90% of all other fast food joints. And I would say McDonald's still might be my number 1 just because of how consistent it is. It is not incredible ever, but it is always good and fast. And if you get on the app, it's still fairly cheap as opposed to, I'm not even sure Arby's is that cheap, you know what I'm saying? The third general take life is that we have a mild heat summer. I'm jinxing us just to really piss off everybody. I'm going to say we're only going to have 3 days over 100 degrees. Stupid, but that's my belief. Number 4, my wedding guest list will end up being low enough to have a buffet, which will save me thousands of dollars. Or we're doing wedding planning right now. We started off, we thought we were going to invite 200 people. We've now whittled that list down to probably inviting 180 people. We'll probably get this down to like 160 or 170. And so we're in a smaller place, and they said that we have to do we'll have to do a plated dinner if we don't get under like 160 or 170. And I think that we will get low enough that we could force in a buffet, which will save us like a buffet is like, let's say it's like the buffet service is $11.99 a person. Plated dinner is $24.99 a person. So if we can get it to buffet, we can save ourselves like immediately. That's $12. Even at 150 people, that's $1,800. So that's, and so I think we can save ourselves thousands of dollars by doing this. Also, if we cut 30 to 40 people, we get money back from the venue, from the alcohol. Alcohol is $35 to $30 a person. So if you cut 30 people, there's another $1,000 back. So I'm just telling people, that's what I think. The more we got our list, we looked at our list, and don't worry, anybody in this chat is invited. Anybody probably listening, well, most people listening are probably invited too. So don't worry, you probably didn't get cut, but I'm just letting you know. So Framps said banana bread at work today, dude. Hell yeah, and that's the feeling it gets. If we can get this down and save thousands of dollars, that's a hell yeah. Make sure to drink more than $30 to $35 worth of alcohol. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's what we need. That's my goat. Yeah. If you're there, you better fucking drink, because it's all you can. Listen, if you went to a bar and paid $35 for all you can drink, you better fucking drink 10 drinks. You know what I'm saying? You still probably can't have shots. Also, this is a hot take about Owen, and this is just the vibe I get from Owen. I believe Owen will switch jobs in the next year. I think I think he'll just get tired of being where he's at. I think he's made comments where he's like, nah, I don't, so that's just, I have no reasoning to back that up. Owen has not said that he's going to leave his job. So, and he really likes his coworkers. He likes everyone he works with. It's just the feeling I get. So there you go. my third to last take. I have Yingling Flight is the best light beer in the game right now. Go buy yourself a Yingling Flight. I think they're all incredible. They're all awesome. I think it's better than like Bud Light or Miller Light or Coors Light. I'd much rather have a Yingling Flight. It's what I'm bringing to like all pool parties, all lake parties, it's what I get when I go golfing. Big advocate for Yingling Flight. Also, here's a hot take. I don't think there's been any bangers that have come out, like all-time bangers that have come out in the last year. Like that, like they'll play at the pool, like they'd play like at a wedding 10 years from now. I don't know if there's been any like bangers that have gone out. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Sorry. Yingling Flights is the best domestic light beer. Thank you, Framps. But yeah, I don't think there's been any all-time bangers. I think like the closest is like Espresso or Please, Please, Please. And all those I think came out more than a year ago. So, I mean, Sabrina Carpenter and Chapel Roan, both doing it, both bangers have been releasing bangers, but that was like a year ago. They haven't released any bangers within the last year. So, and listen, I know everybody's probably going to prove me wrong, but I'm sure there's plenty of examples that are wrong, but that's how I feel. And last one, I'm about to turn it all around. I think I've got a couple of things that are about to break well for me. I'm not like doing bad, but I think I could be doing really well. And I think I have a couple things that I just need to break for me that I think are going to break for me. And I'm going to be doing really well. So that's what I've got. My last take is I'm about to turn it all around and have a really great year. I'm already having a great year. I have the best friends in the world. I have the best family in the world. Best partner, fiance in the world. And I'm really happy about this show and doing it every week with y'all. So that's it. That's 108 hot takes. More than 100 because I'm bad at math, which is hilarious. So that's very vague. Specifics? No, because I don't want to jinx myself or brag too much. So no specifics. I'll also see you in like 30 minutes, Framps. We're going to go to a movie, so I'll talk to you then. All right. Let's do the outro. Again, for your top 5, pick your top 5 of my favorite takes, and that'll be the top 5 of the show. Really appreciate everybody for hanging out, Framps, and what do you... Man, I always fucking struggle to say this. Hold on. It's, what do you... God damn it. Oh, my God. Hold on. I've got to stop the outro music because I'm trying to read this. Name it chat. What are you taking a beat? What are you taking a beat? What are you talking to beat? There you go. What are you talking to beat? That's right. Appreciate you both being in chat and hanging out on a great Tuesday night. Appreciate everybody who's listened to the show as it's a solo show without Owen. Appreciate all the patrons over at patreon.com/Owen Disaster. Shout out Aaron, Skylar, Dylan, Ozzy, Mailbox Case City, now open in the Iron District. What are you taking to beat? What are you talking to beat? Gave me said good takes in the chat. I appreciate it. Make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing. I believe you're commenting what you keep your thermostat at in chat. So, or in the YouTube comments. So again, appreciate you. We'll have us both back next week. We'll probably be reacting to these takes, but I will see y'all next week with Owen.